Private schools, are they worth the money? This is Jason Ursino from Learning Space, and I'm driving to school. Today I'm going to be talking about whether it's worth spending the extra bit of money on private schools for your son or daughter, or to just send them to a public school. I've taught in a private school for quite a while now, over a couple of decades, and I've also completed my teacher training in a public school. So I've had a taste of both, and I can definitely tell the difference as a teacher, and I can give you some insight. Three things to consider. First one is the academics. Now, if you are a teacher and you complete your teacher training at university, you can teach in any school. So as soon as you get your teaching degree, you can teach in a private school or a public school, Catholic systemic school, it really doesn't matter. So in terms of getting your teaching degree, from there, it really just is the preference of the teacher. However, once you are hired by a private school, you are under a little bit of pressure for your students to perform. There are reports that you complete after HSC for your coordinator to explain how you went in a self-reflection process. There is a lot less of that in public schools. There's a lot less pressure on teachers to perform in public schools. The other thing is, in private schools, they have their own recruiting system for teachers, whereas public schools do have the entire New South Wales public system have their own employment system, whereas a private school can be a little bit more picky with the teachers they recruit because of their recruiting system. So should you go there for academic reasons? Yes, there is a bit of an advantage for academic reasons. However, I have seen parents decide to take their kids to a public school and use that extra money in academic tutoring, and they have found that they got better results that way. So that's something to consider if academics is at the top of your priority list, especially if you think that spending the extra money for private school education, if it's just academics, some of those public schools nowadays are very, very good academically as well. So it's definitely something to consider. Don't forget, there's also selective schools. That goes without saying. The second thing to consider with private schools is the extracurricular opportunities. Private schools do have more facilities. Some schools have their own swimming pool. Some schools have a whole heap of different ovals and gymnasiums, etc., that allows extra opportunities for students. So if your son or daughter is not very academic, but they are very, say, musical, or they are very good with their sports, looking at some of the private schools with the extra facilities might be something to consider for your son or daughter. So that's something that you'll probably want to think about as well. And finally is future networking. This is probably the biggest one. If you are at a private school, the mates that you get at school are mates that are lifelong. They're friends that you get for lifelong. You think about some of your school friends, you keep in touch with them for a very long time after school. Now, if it just so happens that your friends are the sons or the daughters of big companies, then there's a good opportunity in terms of networking for the future. So your son or daughter could go to an expensive private school and become friends with other boys and girls that are in the industry of doing very well when they leave school. And if that's a childhood friend, there's opportunities there for them. So the networking opportunities is probably the biggest thing that you can get from private schools over public schools. So they're the three things to consider when you are considering a private school. First of all, the academics, secondly, the extracurricular, and finally, the future networking. If you like my videos, there are more of them at learningspace.net.au/driving to school, and have a good day.